maybe it's just been on TV a little bit more often. Peter Sagan been doing this a lot. I think the really biggest time is really when we saw Chris Froome riding his bike down Paris Road. That's when it really got a lot of attention.
Okay, Dan Martin, social media creating quite a spark here. He says, how about we think about banning this new descending technique of sitting on the top two? Pro riders may have the skills, but how many kids at home will endanger themselves attempting to imitate what they see on TV? He then continued after he saw the response. Funny how responses to my last tweet are split. Some support, some thinks it's health and safety madness, but it's not about speed. And the question is being a good descender skill or just willing to take more risks? We'll get to that in a moment. But first, response before the race, beginning with Dan Martin responding to himself.
Interesting, but I think it's about control and safety. And I think you've seen two guys crash now during the Tour de France. Like doing it, and that's professional riders. I mean, if people at home are going to start doing it, it's just I've done it a couple of times, but it's more mainly because the guy in front of it's just. Then I just kind of think, what the hell am I doing? It's not worth it.
There's a lot of things about professional bike racing that we do that's unsafe, but I mean, we're racing. We're going as fast as we can. I mean. Motorsport drivers drive sometimes in a way that could be perceived as reckless, but that doesn't mean people should go and drive like that in traffic.
What we're doing is also not healthy, we're on the limit every day, just smashing ourselves. I feel like 10 years old after this Tour de France. Also going up the hills that fast, it's also not crazy. So, I mean, it also depends how you've grown up, how your bike handling skills are.
I've been sitting on the top tube descending since I was 17. I don't pedal when I'm sitting on the top tube, but for sure it is the most aerodynamic position. I mean, we even tested it in the wind tunnel one time, and it's about half the drag of actually doing a regular tuck. So I think there's a lot to be said for the speeds that you can go in that position. You just have to be extra careful.
I think the sport's risky enough. We're always trying to calculate risk versus reward, and I don't think you save much on the top two, but the risk is certainly much higher.
It makes for an interesting discussion. Do you think there's any future to it actually being banned?
I hope not. It is about speed. It is considerably faster. And to contradict what Dan Martin was saying a little bit, and to quote John Lee Hooker, if the kids want the boogie woogie, you got to let them do that. They're going to see what's going on TV and endangering children. I don't think the super tuck is part of the discussion.
No, I think there's no credence. I don't think there's going to be any time there's going to be ban a super tuck, and how would they ever even do that? Oh, I saw you. You're out. No, I mean, there's a lot of things I would like to ban before we ban the super tuck. And like Taylor was saying, we've been doing this for a long time. It's just more that we've been seeing people on TV doing it. Yeah, they're doing it right now, and this isn't even a drastic downhill. This is a flat stage. So the change in aerodynamics is so insane, especially when you do it within the wind tunnel, like Taylor was alluding to. It really is really off the charts. Nothing comes anywhere close. And look, Bob, I was thinking about it before we came on. Like, I try to emulate you guys in every different kind of tuck and position over the bars, butt off the back of the seat. I have to say that this is probably the safest of all of them by a long shot. You're much more stable on the bike while doing so. And I thought Chris Froome's response was the best. There's a lot of things, and we're racing at the end of the day. We're trying to go as fast as
on closed courses. Also,
on closed courses, not safe.
A little
conditions.
Common sense goes a long way in any discussion.
Yeah,
and it's not dangerous, and it's much faster. And so, in the day, guys would put their hands on the tops and lean their chest over as far as they could so the tip of their nose was right next to their front tire.
Yeah.
They had absolutely no control to gain a couple of miles per hour.
Or the reverse, all the way off
all the way off the back. And this is safer and quicker. And Dan Martin is not maybe comfortable in that position, but that doesn't mean that Peter Sagan is not.
And bringing us to a question that I've asked of you guys before, and Dan brought it up on one of his tweets, about the actual tactics or skills of descending. Is it more about the talent, or is it about the courage and being willing to take a risk?
Is Valentino Rossi more talented than any other MotoGP driver? Perhaps. Is he also work on it constantly his whole life? So it's both.
Yeah, I wouldn't call Valentino, I wouldn't call Mark Marquez, and whoever you want to call in motorsports crazy. Those are calculated risks. They know exactly what they're doing. And when Alaphilippe is ripping on the descent, he knows exactly what he's doing. Okay, Peter Sagan, for example, he did crash. I said there is a point in time where this is a closed course, like Bob said, but at the same time, this is hundreds, 1,000 miles throughout France that you cannot know every corner. And a track, motor circuit, you're doing it 50 times. You know exactly what's coming around the corner. A lot of times, there could be anything around that corner. And when we saw Philippe Gilbert, fantastic descender. He was in the tuck for a second. He had plenty of time to get out of it, but he was going way too fast coming through the corner. He'd never been through that corner before, never seen it. So there are big differences. But as far as whether you're going to ban a position for going too fast, things like that, no.
And we watched the races together for hours. Now we're at stage 18. We've been doing this a long time, and I observe you guys, and there's not a lot of visceral reactions from anything that goes on, but one thing that always gets both of you guys a response is when they are going super fast, descending. So you say it's more about talent than courage, but I think you guys recognize that it must take some courage to do what they're doing.
If I went at the speed Julien Alaphilippe descended the Portillon a couple of days ago, and I did do that the same morning, I would have flown off into the forest in the first couple of corners. So you can be as prudent as you want to be. It's not a question of recklessness. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about talent and what TJ Van Garderen said, calculated risk versus reward. For pro cyclists, it's worth it when it matters. The rest of the time, if you don't ride safely, you're not going to make it to the finish line.
I will say one of the biggest things that goes into the minds of riders, especially when they get a little bit older, when they've had crashed, have kids, things like that, fear does creep in. And fear will actually, even if you do have those kind of skills, you start questioning your equipment, you start questioning your skill, all these things. You question, firstly, like Dan right now, you question the people around you. And you have the trust in yourself, but you don't necessarily trust the person in front of you. And if someone crashes in front of you at those kind of speeds, it's over. It doesn't matter what kind of brakes you have, how quickly you run. And that's one of the biggest things that I had with age is just the fear. And then you really don't have the confidence yourself or anything around you. So that's what makes you tense, and then you have zero flow going down the hills.
And I will also say this to Dan Martin. It's a lot safer to ride at the front of the peloton on a sprint stage.
That's closing.
Cold. That's cold.
That's cold,
It's way safer than sitting on the back and getting caught up in giant pileups and losing time on your GC when you're getting paid millions of dollars to race your bikes.
That's
Maybe
cool,
focus
Dan.
on that.
I had nothing to do with this one.
If it's true, Christian, that fear does come with age, and Bob had a birthday at the start of the tour, why do I keep seeing riding without a helmet as we leave these
Talk about cold. That just one-upped everything.
I should ride with a helmet every
I'm bringing one next year.
mile. Okay. If you bring a helmet, I'll wear it every mile.
All right.
Yeah, right.
I will, I promise. Cross my heart.
Lies.
See, like that helmet right there. It's a good-looking one.
I'll wear that.
Look good on you. Bob?
If you can find Roman Bardet's helmet, or is that Matthias Frank?
Excuse me. Yeah.
I will wear that.
Okay.
Matthias Frank. We
Done
might have
deal.
the same size.
Gives me a project for the off-season. Stage 18 getting closer and closer to Pau. Again, they're supposed to arrive just before 6 o'clock here local time. Day out of the Pyrenees. We'll end here in Pau in a while. After this, we'll get you back to the
Remember your first bike? No, your first real bike.